All right. Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back to Game and Compute. Here on this podcast, we talk a lot about income and finance and money and career, education, side hustles, just about money in general. Today I want to talk about, I don't really even know because I need to look into it more, but I want to talk about Anchor. Just because there's a lot changing. So there was a guy who I was following, who originally was doing Anchor podcasting, and Anchor is a Spotify software, and you can record free. And to my understanding, Anchor has changed. Basically. There have been some people such as this guy Henry G. I follow a lot of his information, and he's been kind of explaining for the last, I'm trying to see how long, at least 9 days ago, so the beginning of October, he says his Anchor ad stopped. And also before that, he was explaining maybe a couple weeks ago about how Spotify wasn't, I guess he wasn't getting credit for the Spotify listeners. And I think on Apple Podcasts, a lot of people are still getting the regular amount of listeners. But the cool thing about Anchor is that it posts to other, it posts to other, platforms. But there are other platforms that, I don't know of any that are free. I don't know of anything like Anchor because I've never really looked. But most other stuff you might have to pay, or you only get one, and then you have to go out of your way to post on the others. So the thing I can say about Anchor that one thing to look out for, so two things I guess I want to talk about. One of them being just how algorithms and things change, how policies change, how ads change. That really screws up your money. And then another thing is, that Anchor does have a strong point that they do post to multiple other podcasts, but the hard part of Anchor isn't that they post. The hard part is if you have more than one podcast, you can't really log in. Like, say for example, to Apple Podcasts or to Spotify, right? If you go to your own podcast on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts or whatever, I don't think you can really go in and do anything. Like, it's not like you went your first route through Apple Podcasts and started posting. I didn't make a Game and Compute podcast account through Apple Podcasts or through Spotify. My account is through Anchor Podcast, right? So I think if you have an iPhone or something, you can set it up for one podcast. But if you have multiple podcasts, I don't know if for Apple anyways. I'm going to have to look into Spotify. But this is the stuff I'm trying to find out. basically a lot is changing, and I'm gonna try to figure this out, because if that guy is moving, and I was mostly following his model, but I also have been posting way less lately, as you guys probably noticed. I've been studying more, so I'm posting way less, and so my consistency is like quite a bit off. So I'm trying to use my days off to record more content, but it kind of depends, because I'm not really getting out doing a bunch of stuff. So sometimes I don't have anything new to share, and so I don't want to just like post like God only knows what, because I don't have something new to share. For me, this is the newest thing I'm sharing. Is kind of like how I'm gonna maybe start to address things with these podcasts. And because I have multiple podcasts, and so the good thing is it's always free. It's not gonna cost me money, but yeah, you get like ad revenue basically, and unless you have like other stuff in there, like your own links of things, you're usually not getting more. But yeah, I am pretty curious. I'm excited, but pretty curious to know like how how things are gonna go. Podcasting is pretty it's new to me. Like I understand YouTube more, because I feel like I've been around YouTube, exposed to YouTube since it was able to get monetized. So I know kind of how YouTube works and how all that works. Like I've seen it pretty much from the ground up, from how YouTube went from, where I would go to watch music videos when I wasn't watching them on Yahoo Music. It was the second place that I started watching music videos online. And then it went from all these kind of like home camera accounts to like people being able to monetize stuff. And so I don't know, like it's kind of interesting. It's kind of a fascinating thing to see. And it's cool, like I'm not like hating on it or anything, but I kind of like when things don't change. So I don't really know. I'm still gonna have to learn. Those are the things I need to learn about. Can you log in individually to your accounts? Because if you can log in individually to all your multiple podcasts, into all the platforms where Anchor posts to, then you can still maybe have some hope of being able to scale up those accounts. But, I don't really know. Like, sometimes I think it's just going to be hard to do. But yeah. So with that, I'm going to log off. I know this one's super short, but that's all I really have to say for now. If I find a significant update, I'll definitely post. Henry G, if you go on YouTube and type in Anchor podcast Henry G, he's the one whose latest video I watched from the beginning of October 2022, when he started noticing what was going on with his account. And I've been following his model, like I mentioned. That's why I'm kind of worried, is because I've been following his model, and there's not really, honestly, a lot of content out there about people who podcast, who show you how they started, what they did, and how they started making ad revenue. And especially for Anchor, I've seen like a couple posts, just mostly people using it for like the ad version of just like their ad. and maybe adding a little value that way. But his is the only channel that I know. So I'm gonna keep up to date with his posts. He does have good posts on there though, and I mean, what he was saying does work. At least, from what he was explaining, but I really don't know what it's gonna look like now. Like, I don't know how things are gonna change. So, yeah, I'm gonna try and see, what I can do. And I really don't know what I can do, but I'm gonna try to see kind of what I can, understand with this. And, like, I've been still in the process of scaling up since summer, and then, like, I wouldn't say I was disappointed with myself. Like, I'm not beating myself up about having not quite yet, reached my goal with, like, the ad revenue, but I really do feel like, working full time, so I'm going from a 40-hour work week down to a 32-hour work week starting this week, until I finish the class that I'm taking. And so I'll be working 32 hours, hopefully adding more time to be able to study. And what I'm studying is related to podcasting, so I consider still actively podcasting to be part of my studying. But I'm really trying to organize things too. So, yeah, I'm, I am overall kind of like enjoying myself. I'm not like miserable or anything. I have been having a lot more fun lately with things and being creative, but, I'm still doing a lot of learning too. So bear with me, guys. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'll be online. I don't intend to close all of my podcasts, at least not anytime soon. If I can't predict the exact future, but I don't intend to really close them all or anything. But I might consolidate, but I think that would mess things up because the multiple podcasts I have are so specifically, their own like little brands. And so I don't want to combine it all because I feel like that wouldn't make for an accurate, an accurate option of how to do things. But, yeah, I'm kind of gonna see, what more I can find out, and if I'm noticing anything with my own accounts. I mean, it's kind of hard to say because my numbers are definitely changing anyways because I'm posting so much less, and so the consistency on my end went down. And so I'm not expecting the monetization to be paying out as highly as it was before. But I don't really know significantly. So I'm going to see during this month of October if by the 15th and then by the end of the month, if I can maybe figure this out. But I really don't think I know. I wasn't expecting this, and if there were going to be changes, I wasn't expecting it to be in October, especially because I was just really getting more serious with things during like the summer. And so I don't really know, like, we'll see, but that's kind of how these projects kind of go, right? Like, you start a project and then it's like, oh shoot, like, this has changed now. And that's honestly one of my biggest hesitations about going into these types of fields, working by myself. That's why I haven't quit my daytime job. Why I still keep now a 32-hour a week job. Because before I wasn't doing that. Before I was, well, I was always doing that, but I wanted to just leave and go straight into like the online brands that I'm trying to work on. And so, I was never fully confident in it because I always worry like almost, for example, what happened with YouTube monetization. So I've had more than one experience actually with a change affecting income for me. So with YouTube monetization, I initially had a monetized YouTube account for like a few years before it became like before you needed a bigger subscriber base to be able to monetize your channel. And so that changed. So now you need like 1,000 subscribers or something to be able to even basically monetize. But I was doing okay without even hardly any subscribers. Just with if I would have been more consistent with the type of content, I was getting a lot of traffic. So I kind of know, I went from there kind of learning which topics kind of catch people's eye, which get like a lot of organic traffic without you having to really pay for traffic. Like people just naturally gravitate towards certain types of content. And so through YouTube, having like a channel where I would just post whatever whenever, I did learn quite a few topics that people like. But then like I wasn't able to fully monetize it because I never focused just on the ones that would make the money. And then, once things changed, I, never had like a whole lot of subscribers like that. But it was good to figure out, like, as like a test, if you will, kind of what works. So with YouTube, I kind of always knew kind of what worked, but I never really was building like a subscriber base. With then I went into like kind of like a style like of drop shipping with different types of products that I was able to understand how the process was, as far as like posting, and so, and getting like a profit, buying and reselling, basically, retail arbitrage. And then so I was kind of into that for a while, but because I was not at I wasn't at my best as far as like managing stress, and so I wasn't consistent with that, with the eBay stuff too much. I was a lot more consistent with the OfferUp, meeting in person, and the iPhone reselling. But the iPhone reselling kind of got to a point where it was too risky, too scammy, because people were not providing phones that another person could buy and just like put in their own information, like their own, fully use it and create a service. It didn't really work. And so yeah, so I bought it and we did like a resell. But yeah, sometimes the phones didn't really work. And so, and then, when I was doing stuff with laptops, that's when the pandemic kind of just took away all my options. So I've had a couple times where I wasn't too organized with it, but I did definitely see the that I was always making a profit at a certain point with certain items using a certain method. And then, yeah, it was just a drain from work that was hard. And then and I also didn't ever really sit down with the numbers and say, okay, this is how much I'm actually able to make. Like, this is how much I need to work to make this amount. Like, I would basically just do it, make the money, go out and party, and then just be like, sit on it for a couple of days, couple of weeks. Then I'd be like, oh, I got another party coming up. Let me go make some money real quick. You know, I was covering basically my party expenses. I wasn't really like trying to live off of it, you know? And so now, I mean, I do have plenty of skills of how to do this type of stuff. It's just with podcasting, it's different. Like, that's why, you know, during the pandemic, I switched more towards podcasting because I realized, you know, when you're doing physical item sales in person and the world shuts down and you can no longer meet people in person, you can no longer, like China dried up for me. Like, shipping got to a point where it was like not even worth the wait. And then, you know, China as a resource dried up for me. Like, I wasn't able to get what I needed at cheaper rates from China. And then I wasn't able to scale that up because it was taking so dang long. Like, it was more of a time situation where it's like, I don't really want to wait a month for something that I used to wait like less than a week for, you know, because I was trying to do like a certain amount of repairs per week. But I was like, I don't want to buy all this stuff and then wait for like a month and have to like buy everything all at once, because that's a lot of expense at once. And so I was like, I don't want to buy a month's worth of stuff, like 4 weeks worth of stuff, just to do 1 week at a time. So the buying was hard, and then the reselling was hard because I couldn't just quickly resell in person, because that's what I was used to. I was like, you know, it's actually a little less of a hassle with the electronics to just sell it in person, make sure it works on the spot, get the cash in hand, and then you're done with the transaction. You don't have to, you know, deal with like the post office, with the shipping, with the waiting, with the other person testing the item. And then if there's a problem, then oh my gosh, now you're going to have to refund them. And then, you know, you waited like over a week for the whole process to be started and finished, and you're kind of losing on time. I feel like you're quicker on time for a lot of stuff like laptops, cell phones, that kind of stuff. It's easier in person. People will trust you more. They can see your reviews. You sign paperwork on the spot and stuff, and you keep track of all the like ID numbers, all this kind of stuff, their information. If you're buying something from someone in person, making sure it's not stolen, that kind of thing. And so you're dealing with people, but it's like you're paying them on the spot for what you're buying from them in cash, and they know how much it's going to be, and then you're reselling their item once you repair it. It was actually pretty legit. Like, it worked really well. But like I said, like when you can't do that kind of stuff in person, you're kind of just like, well, now I got this weight with this online stuff, and then all the scams online of people trying to be like, I want a refund because it didn't work, and you're like, you know fully well that what you sold them worked. And so yeah, it's a bit of a challenge. For me, like working with like actual products was a little bit of a challenge after a while, because, you know, always with the scams that want to kick in and stuff like that, it was just becoming so much of a hassle. And then, yeah, when the pandemic hit, it was like, well, I can't even do an online version of this anymore because, you know, the shipping times take too long. I can't buy anything from China. Everything I buy from anywhere else is going to cost me way too much. And then I'm losing money. And now the economy is just insane, so I don't even know how to even predict anything at this point. And almost every type of business is making so many rapid changes. And anytime you have a business or a side hustle that's based on other people's like businesses or some other kind of thing in the world, like, you know, the post office, or, you know, factories being shut down in certain places, or, you know, some weird regulation or rule that comes up about something that might get you banned depending what your brand is, or, you know, anything. Like, anything can happen, guys. And I'm not here to discourage. I'm just, you know, posting this episode, because it's like this is the latest thing coming out, so I'm hoping I can problem solve it and figure it out. I mean, I don't just record here for the money. That's not really what it is. But I mean, that's what I record about on this channel, right? Is kind of like the side hustle type of culture of doing things. So sometimes we do end up making choices based on the side hustles, how they change. And so right now I'm in a period of things changed. Things have already changed. I just need to know how to strategize around this and see kind of what to do. The hard part is, I don't have a lot of resources, and I'm not familiar with how to just like do certain kinds of stuff like this on my own without like this specific platform. Like, I don't really know any other platforms very well other than Anchor. And so we'll see. We'll see, guys. But with that, thanks for listening.